This week on Pitt Beyond the Script.
Our guys will be ready for them. And again, it's a major challenge.
This guy is a young guy that's got a lot of football ahead of him. Let's go, let's go.
You get a chance to belch your song on the biggest stage. And we want guys that can come in here and sing with the best of them.
You know, I'm very thankful to get an education from this school. It's a great, phenomenal school. There's no other place in the world I would want to be at.
All this and more on this edition of Pitt Beyond the Script. It starts as a game, a gathering of friends. And slowly, as some begin to sit back, others stand out. The joy of playing turns to passion. And as the skills develop, so do the minds. And they begin to seek challenges, peers, and mentors to further their abilities and opportunities. The love and passion becomes a thirst for people in a place
we're going to show everybody else in the country who we are.
That will embrace and push a hunger for excellence.
Clinch the ACC.
And to be in and among champions. These are the dreamers, scholars, leaders. These are the guides, teachers, mentors. And this is the opportunity, the challenge, the place. This is Pitt Beyond the Script.
Put your heart out, put your brother next to you.
Hello and welcome to Pitt Beyond the Script alongside head coach Pat Narduzzi. I'm Casey Garrow of Pitt Studios. Coach, you go without your starting quarterback in the loss to Miami, number 13, Miami. First time without Kenny Pickett, starting QB since September 2019. But Joey Yellen steps in, 22 of 45, 277 yards and a touchdown. Talk about his performance at the number 2 spot.
You know, it's never easy coming in as a backup. I think, he hadn't got a ton of reps all through the week, I guess throughout the beginning of the season. And for him to come in and play like he did, and again, the most impressive thing was just the maturity he had in the pocket, his confidence in his receivers, and really the touch passes that he made. I mean, he made some nice throws to his receivers. He had a couple overthrows. He had a screen that, we just got to touch it down a little bit more, and it could be a big play. So I was happy with Joey's performance, in his first game, and we expect more in the second week if he is a starter.
You mentioned he won the starting job in practice, but we got to see redshirt freshman Davis Bevel, also redshirt freshman Joey Yellen, so they're competing for that spot. Will you continue to see how practice goes, or did he kind of secure that number 2 spot?
Well, Davis definitely has a secure spot at number 2, but Davis would like to be number 1, and we'd like to continue to see that competition go. And we'll look at the practice this week, see what happens with Kenny, and then find out what those two do practice-wise. And you got to love Davis because he wants to compete, and he wants to be the guy, and that's great for your football team.
And I say number 2 because you can never count Kenny Pickett out.
No doubt about it.
He's a tough kid.
The fake to Sibley, the toss in the end zone, easy pitch and catch, Daniel Moraga.
During postgame, you mentioned some drop passes, penalties, not running the ball well. But again, that's going to happen in games. How do you teach and coach discipline, you and your coaches, during practice?
It's really when you see something happen during practice. We got referees out there during practice, 3 or 4 of them, not 9 or 8. So you try to focus on it there, but you don't see many penalties in practice because the speed is not like it is on a game day. Things happen so much faster in a game. Our guys and our coaches have got to do a better job at eliminating some of those things, and they're all one time. It's not like you had 4 running into the returner. Once that happens once, our guys are staying away, and and sometimes you don't see that called either. So there's, it's all one-time type deals that you have to live and learn with.
You have to be happy, though, because it's things you can clean up, self-inflicted wounds that you can clean up again for Notre Dame.
No doubt about it. I mean, you just hope there's not a different kind Saturday against an outstanding Notre Dame football team. So we've got to do a better job, and we got to get more speed into practice if we can. And that's the kind of the thought this week.
Once again, I'm bringing up true freshman Jordan Addison, 8 catches for 147 yards, his first 100-yard receiving game at Pitt, of course. Talk about him and being a bright spot on this offense.
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy that you can trust. I mean, he almost caught another one down the sideline as well. That was just a little bit. And again, it would have been a tough catch for him to make it, but he kept a lot of patience and didn't let that corner be able to find the ball before he did. But Jordan Addison is a football player. We saw that last spring. He's continued to be very consistent in the way he approaches the game in the meeting rooms and on the field. We just got to keep him rolling because he's special.
5 trips to the red zone, 4 field goals. You mentioned you don't want to see Alex Kessman too much, even though you like him, but he did a good job, so a special shout out to him going 4 for 4. How do you correct this moving forward in practice and then against the number 3 Notre Dame?
Yeah, it's been an ongoing issue this entire season. We'd be undefeated if we'd score more touchdowns when we get to the red zone, so we just got to continue to focus on when we get it down there, getting the ball in the end zone somehow, some way. And you watch where we got some one-on-ones, whether it was AJ or Vince Davis, we got to get in the end zone. We run out of bounds one time, and it's like that. It's an electric fence there. We can't get to that goal line. Somehow we got to find out a way to get in the end zone.
Coach, the defensive line played very well, 26 tackles, 2 sacks. They were able to pressure King, very tough quarterback. He's very physical, mobile. They were able to do that. This is a group that continues to be very dependable for your defense. Talk about their growth and the depth from a Rashad Weaver to a DeAndre Jules, who we saw on Saturday.
Yeah, we've got depth at that position, and again, we've even got guys hurt. Jules is a guy playing really last 2 weeks with some significant time. Obviously more time last week than the week before, and we're hoping to get a little bit healthier there this week against a great Notre Dame team, especially their offensive line. So it's going to be a battle, the O-line versus the D-line. That'll be something to look at. But Rashad Weaver and Patrick Jones lead that group. They're the bell cows of the D-line. They need to continue to lead those guys, and they're going to be real important this week.
King quickly, that one's up for grabs, and it's intercepted. That's Paris Ford. 15, still on his feet, down to the 12. Huge play for the junior from Pittsburgh.
Overall, like I said, the defense did play well. You mentioned that in your press conference. 3 of the 4 touchdowns of Miami were over 35 yards, so just big splash plays. How do you look to defend that against the Notre Dame?
We'll see some of them. We got to do a better job, number one, of not just showing our defense the plays that the other team runs, but show them what they could run. And sometimes you got to be a little bit creative of, hey, maybe they do this or maybe do that. So that's been the message this week, is to show more of what they may see, not necessarily, because when you break down tape, you're looking at different defenses, so you don't know how they're going to defend, or how they're going to attack our 4-3 defense. But if they're smart, they're going to do some of the similar things, and we've got to do a better job at taking that stuff from what we've seen and learned in the past and putting it on our defense during the practice week.
Yeah, both you and Phil Campbell mentioned they ran a play that you had never seen before. A lot of people thought it was the same play, but it was actually slightly different.
Yeah, it was definitely same type of concept, just different formation. They dressed it up a different way, bring in a different angle, and again, we got to do a better job at defending those plays, and again, we got to do a better job at showing our kids that in practice.
Well, thank you, Coach. We're going to resume in a bit. We're going to talk about number 3 Notre Dame coming to Heinz Field with some of a crowd in place, which will be exciting. We'll be right back on Pitt Beyond the Script.
King to pass, Pitt brings just 4, and it's intercepted.
And another turnover that gives Pitt field position inside the red zone.
I registered to vote because it is my right in the United States to have my voice be heard.
I registered to vote because it's a starting point for making a difference within my community and on a larger scale.
I registered to vote because I feel like I have an obligation, due to all the pain and struggle that my ancestors went through, just to be able to have the right to vote in this country.
I registered to vote after educating myself on the importance of voting and made sure to get involved immediately.
I registered to vote because every vote counts, and it's important that my team is active in our local government.
My teammates and I are all registered to vote. The women before us have fought hard for this right, and we understand the importance of voting today.
I vote because it's important to me, it's important to my family, and as an American citizen, I feel I have the opportunity that many others around the world don't have.
Voting matters to me because so many people have fought for this right, and as a result, we should all vote to have an impact in our government and our everyday lives.
Voting matters to me because I'm very passionate about using my platform to encourage my friends and family to get involved and to spread awareness about the social justice issues in our country that are more prevalent now than ever.
Voting isn't just important in this day and age, but it is very necessary, and I believe that is your obligation to get out to the voter booths and choose the right candidate for this upcoming election.
When we choose to vote, we are saying that this is the person we want to represent us. And as Americans, we have the privilege to vote, which gives us the opportunity to choose somebody who is going to represent everybody.
I believe that voting is important. I believe that leadership is important.
I believe that my vote can help put somebody in charge who empowers the voices of many who have been silenced for way too long.
I registered to vote. Did you?
Did you?
Did you?
Did you?
We gotta be smart. We have to have poise. What? 1, 2, 3, The calm before the storm, okay? One play at a time. Major focus. What we gotta do? Play Pitt football. Somebody got me.
That one's up for grabs and it's intercepted. That's Paris Ford. 15, still on his feet, down to the 12.
Welcome back to Pitt Beyond the Script alongside Pat Bostic. I'm Rob King of AT&T Sportsnet. Pat, unfortunately, in this last game against a ranked Miami team where you don't have your starting quarterback, the Panthers did a lot of good things that could help them win, but unfortunately had some of the same mistakes, including penalties and some drop passes.
Yeah, I mean, the penalties and drop passes are killer. You know, you cannot overcome them at times. The negative plays offensively, it seems like every time they get in scoring position, there's a penalty or a negative run. And when you get behind the sticks against a Miami defense that's fast, physical, good up front, they're going to pin their ears back and come after you. So I thought, again, they did some good things. Joey Yellen, I thought, acquitted himself really nicely in his second career start, made some big plays, gave them a chance to get into scoring position, but you can't settle for 4 field goals, short field goals at that, and beat a team like Miami, particularly when you give them 4 touchdowns on short fields. I mean, those short field touchdowns were killer, and a few of them that were just, you know, giveaway plays, just broken coverages down the middle of the field, the one broken coverage on the sideline. You're going to have to go score for score with a team like that when you're giving up short field touchdowns.
Yeah, and it was the big plays, obviously, as you're alluding to, that hurt the Panthers, who allowed Miami just 2.6 yards per carry. And going back to Yellen, this was a guy obviously making his first start for Pitt, and you don't have a Kenny Pickett in this game. I'm sure a lot of people thought, well, there go your hopes of upsetting a team, but Joey Yellen had this team in position to be able to upset the number 13 team in the country.
Let's see who comes out as the starting quarterback for the Pitt Panthers.
It looks like it's number 16, Joey Yellen, the Arizona State transfer.
Yeah, they brought him in for a reason, Rob. You know, you bring a guy like that in. He's not a veteran. I made a mistake. He's a veteran because these transfer quarterbacks these days are typically older. Well, he's a freshman. He's a redshirt freshman. This guy is a young guy that's got a lot of football ahead of him, making his second career start. Sure, his 2 starts are against USC and Miami, which probably count for about 5 collectively. But I thought he played great. I thought he went out there, he managed it. The biggest thing that impressed me, and you know this as a former quarterback, was the poise in the pocket. He didn't get flustered back there. He didn't rush things. Stepped up, delivered the ball on time, also extended a couple plays. I thought he showed a good poise in there. And that's good to have behind Kenny Pickett moving forward, a guy that can go in there, manage the team, inject confidence in the huddle, especially without your starting quarterback. I admire the performance that Joey Yellen put forth.
You mentioned the yards per carry that the defense allowed, also 4 sacks, and then Williams and Ford with the interceptions.
King to pass, Pitt brings just 4, and it's intercepted. That's Williams. Will he get to the end zone? Knocked out of bounds at the 1-yard line by De'Aaron King.
Yeah, I mean, big plays, big turnovers that both get you into scoring position. I think Ford went down to the 12. Williams obviously set up the Panthers' lone touchdown from the 1-yard line. Those are big-time plays, and this team just needs to eliminate the 5 or so plays a game that beat you. You know, and the penalties, I want to speak to that a little bit. You know, those tend to be happening a little bit more often lately. You eliminate those and eliminate those busted coverages, score in the red zone, you're playing winning football. This team is not that far away.
No, they could very easily be 6-0. Instead, you're 3-3 as they get ready to take on the number 3 team in the country in Notre Dame. Another opportunity for the Panthers, who went toe-to-toe with the 13th ranked team in the country. This one intrigues me. We'll talk about Ian Book, maybe the quarterback, in a moment, but the Pitt, that vaunted defensive line against an outstanding offensive line against Notre Dame.
Yeah, I mean, you've got one of the better rush defenses in the country against one of the better running teams in the country. It starts up front for Notre Dame. They're extremely well coached. They're veteran. They got 129 career starts combined up front, which is an almost unprecedented number. So it's good versus good, man. I mean, it's going to be a bloodbath in the trenches in this game. And I look to see, you know, how the Panthers are able to fare against an offensive line that good. because they're going to see it obviously again with Clemson and Travis Etienne. So this is a good test to see a really good rushing football team. The key for the Panthers is you want to stop the run, but sometimes what happens is you get so geared up to stop the run that you let a play action pass slip right behind you. And Brian Kelly will dial up those types of plays. They've got great tight ends. So you got to maintain discipline even though you're geared up to stop the run.
Harris in motion out of the backfield. King will try and do it himself. Can't spin out of a tackle.
And Ian Book is a very capable quarterback, certainly. They haven't asked him to do a whole lot. He's only completed 58 passes through his first 4 games, although to 15 different receivers, so he spreads it around. But it's not as simple as just stopping the run because Book is capable of beating a team. They just haven't asked him to do it that much.
Well, he's living a dream lifestyle right now. I get to hand the ball off to good backs. I got a great offensive line in front of me. I'm in a lot of manageable down and distances. They're not asking me to drop back and throw the ball 50 times a game. But when I drop back, it's one-on-one coverage with big receivers and tight ends on play action. I mean, they're playing old school football. It may look a little bit new school, but they're playing old school football, and it starts with running the football. And I think Ian Book, what people don't realize about him too is he's pretty mobile. He's a guy that can get outside the pocket on bootlegs and so forth and stretch the defense. So he's a very good player, and they don't ask him to do a whole lot because they haven't had to.
Another opportunity awaits for the Panthers as they get ready to take on number 3 Notre Dame at Heinz Field on Saturday. Pat, thanks very much.
Thank you.
All right, stick around. We're going to profile linebacker Phil Campbell when we resume on Pitt Beyond the Script.
That fresh back is Knight. King fakes it to him, and he gets dumped immediately.
I love football just because it was a team game. I made brothers early on. I just love the aggression. I love being able to hit somebody. I grew up, my dad was my Pop Warner coach, so he taught me the basics at a young age and just, never give up and never give in and always play hard and play fast. And I carry a lot of those things with me in the game today. And I started off at safety in college, but really, my whole life I kind of played linebacker. I had great coaches there at safety.
Let's go, great angle, Phil, great angle, great angle, great angle. Got that, sit right there, don't break down now. Hey, Phil. Hey, did you feel yourself pop to the front shoulder?
What's your footwork? Yup. Shuffle, good. Yup, and it's a burst. Understanding the difference between the sky and the Hotch.
Transition to linebacker wasn't the hardest decision, but I did love safety, and I think that I get to play to my best abilities at linebacker now.
This one flutters and is intercepted. Picked off by Phil Campbell for the first Pitt turnover.
I love playing with my fellow linebackers. They're very competitive and very hardworking. In workouts, even before the season, we would push each other hard, and often we pride ourselves in being one of the toughest rooms in the defense. So, I think right now we just are the tightest we've ever been, and really the best we've ever been, and the most depth we've had.
Underneath the out, you know what I'm saying?
Coach Harley, he's full of energy from the second you get there in the morning. I love playing for him. He's taught me so much. I can't even explain how much he's taught me. I learn from him every day still. So I'm very thankful to play for him. My most memorable play right now is probably the Penn State sack, because that was early on in the season and I was just getting accustomed to linebacker. It showed me some of the things that I can do at this new position. There's nothing like that. Those are moments that you just cherish as a football player. I'm 3 credits away from graduating, so I'm taking my last class this semester. I'll have my degree in communications. I'm very thankful to get an education from this school. It's a great, phenomenal school. There's no other place in the world I would want to be at. And I'm very thankful and blessed to be here. Hi, I'm Phil Campbell III, and you're watching Pitt Beyond the Script.
When we first visited Nike about 3 years ago, we started talking about our brand and what that would look like with them. At that time, we did talk about wanting a core brand, but very quickly after that, we started talking about what would it look like to take this brand and make it a little different. The whole process was fantastic. Nike was very open to the collaboration. They did a lot of research on their own. They knew our history, the history of Pittsburgh and the steel town that it is, and the history of the Cathedral of Learning, which was obviously the inspiration behind most of the brand. So when Mike, the designer, showed us, we fell in love with it pretty quickly. We knew the Panther head was going to be very popular, and Mike took that and used the steel, the metal, the grittiness of Pitt football, and he made that into a really black, strong logo for us, just altering it from its great blue and gold to a gritty, hardworking looking logo. When we saw the helmet, we loved that Panther head so much that we really wanted to make that the primary focus. So we took that Panther head and we put it on a sweatshirt, we have hoodies, we put it on some quarter zips, and we also really loved the homage to the US Steel logo and the H2P logo, and so we've utilized that. We put that on some shirts. We've got men's pieces, we've got women's pieces, we've got a few hats, so we really focused on those two marks because we thought those would be the ones that people would love. We love the uniform. We hope our fans will too. They can find all their alternative gear at any of the places they normally shop and at shoppittpanthers.com.
Hey Panther fans, you showed us what it means to hail from home. Keep sending us your photos each week for a chance to be in next week's show.
Right now, we're 42 days from our first game. 42 days, okay? We will have 30 practices in the 42 days. We have something to prove as a team, as a program, and individually. We should have a mentality of attacking. We are the underdogs, and it's up to us to change that. Nobody else is gonna do it. We have to change it, and we change it with our discipline, with our action, and how we show up every day to work. So today is day one of official practice. November 25th is 42 days away, all right? The journey starts right now. Let's go, let's stretch, here we go. Ready? Let's go, let's go. I've been playing basketball since I can remember. When I was growing up and a little boy, my father was a high school basketball coach, and like most young boys, you want to be with your dad. I ended up being with him. I was his ball boy, but I fell in love with the game from a very early age, and it's been something that I'm in love with and have a passion for. I've had it my whole life. Once we get to half court, you're not trying to turn them, you're trying to keep them on this side. Right here, I'm trying to keep them on this side. One of the things that you get by coming to play for the University of Pittsburgh, especially in men's basketball, is the exposure. That this is by far the most viewed conference, the most watched conference. If you look at the history of the ACC, we have by far more national championships. We have by far more first-round draft picks, more top 10 draft picks. And so all of those things, I call it you get a chance to dance on Broadway, to show your stuff off.
Out of the corner, Tony the triple.
You get a chance to belch your song on the biggest stage. And we want guys that can come in here and sing with the best of them. If you choose to come to the University of Pittsburgh, you get a chance to be in the best conference in the country, the Atlantic Coast Conference. Year in and year out, it has been the best basketball conference in all of college basketball. That's something we take great pride in. And now we're trying to make our mark. Pitt made their mark in the Big East, and they solidified themselves as one of the best teams in the Big East. Now we have to do that. And so you have a chance to come here and have a great impact, basketball-wise, to be a part of a program and a tradition of excellence. And you have a chance to help pull us up to the top of the ACC and eventually get to a point where we win this conference and put ourselves in a position to compete and win a national championship.
Welcome back to Pitt Beyond the Script. Coach, number 3 Notre Dame comes into Heinz Field, but you guys get to be back home after being on the road for quite some time, and some fans will be in place. How great will it be to be back home?
You know, I'm happy for our kids to be able to come back home to a great Notre Dame football team, have minimal crowd out there, but their parents will be there. That's the most important thing for them is to go out and play in front of their fans at home and show what type of football team we are.
Coach, this is a Notre Dame team with a very experienced offensive line. You mentioned that before. They also have a great running back in Kyron Williams and a few other backs that do a nice job. He's second in the ACC in rushing, but you have a defense still first in rushing defense. This will be a good matchup. What are the keys to winning this one?
You know, the keys are we've got to win the line of scrimmage. That offensive line is, like you said, almost 130 starts across the board. Never seen anything like it. They're big, they're physical, they're well coached, and obviously they got a lot of experience. And then Kyron Williams, the tailback number 23, is explosive. He's strong, physical, he makes you miss, and he's got wheels to take it in the end zone. They're not going to take him off the field very often, I don't think. And they've got another 3 guys in the stable that are just as good.
Again, Coach Ian Book, a graduate student, he's been there for quite some time, 24-3 as a starter. How do you look to defend him and match up against him?
You know, he's a smart quarterback. He's being coached by an old smart quarterback in Coach Reese. So you see a lot of good run game and play action game. He's a special quarterback. He's a leader. I think he runs their offense. I think he leads their offense. Besides what you'll see statistically throwing the football, just the way he leads that offense is probably the main thing.
Notre Dame has a very stout defense. Teams have only averaged about 11 points against them. Louisville only got 7 on Saturday. Talk about what they do well on the defensive side of the ball. You know,
they're not real fancy, but they're physical and they're well coached and they play with fundamentals. And we're going to have to do a good job game planning and trying to see what we can wiggle out of that defense. But it's not easy, and we got to find a way to score some points.
And quickly, how nice will it be to have a week of practice? We don't know about Kenny Pickett, but having a week of practice for Yellen and Bevel with those ones, getting more reps unlike last week when you were unsure.
Yeah, I mean, last week they did get their reps. So we kind of knew last week. This week's a little bit more in question as far as how many reps they can get. But Kenny's had a lot of reps through his career so far. So we've got to get the young guys ready to go and see where Kenny is as game time starts.
You guys sit at 3-3 right now, but this is a perfect matchup to get your team re-energized. Back home, top 5 team. Any chatter about that, or it's just another opponent for you guys?
It's another opponent. We know they're a good football team. It's always going to be a great game when Notre Dame comes to our place or we go to South Bend. Our guys will be ready for them. And again, it's a major challenge and against a really good football team, maybe one of the best Notre Dame teams I've seen in a while.
And you mentioned parents get to be there. Do they get first priority, and will your family finally get to be in the stands as well?
Family will be there, but I'm worried more about our kids. But I don't know how the seating will work. I know they won't be in one section, so they'll be spread out. Hopefully, they have some good seats in Heinz Field.
Well, best of luck. We're excited that we're back home. Thank you so much, Coach.
Thanks, Casey. Appreciate it.
Thank you, and thank you for watching this edition of Pitt Beyond the Script.